Welcome, all of you beautiful individuals out there listening. It is me, the one and only Teej, coming to you live from the Jack and Joe Strategy Studio, part of the Electronic Media Division at CCM. How's everyone out there? Hello. I'm just so excited to be here more than anything else, and just to get things started off right, we got music and everything else wonderful. Oh, boy. And that caffeine, that wonderful little bit of caffeine that's hanging around in the back of my mind right now that's allowing me to explode in these kind of various audible junctures. Is everyone doing okay? It is, I was just thinking, going through that whole intro and that sort of bit, that it's a bit dated, Mr. Terry. And it might be necessary for us to change that for the new season, the new semester, that sort of thing. It's always good to change that stuff around, because I figure, it keeps you on. If I don't do it, then you're just going to feel like you're going to be expecting it, and what's the fun in that? So is that okay, Terry? Can we record one like last time? It took forever, and I'm thinking like we just bang something out really, really quick, write something down, throw some music to it. It's always a bit of a synchronization thing where you got to find the right music, of course, but what do you think about making something of our own? I'm just kidding. I know you're not going to do shit. It's going to be up to me, as always. All right. For those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I am, of course, referring to Terry, my producer, who's in the studio, but yes, refuses to talk, which makes it a little bit difficult to get a full idea about what kind of tension is in the studio at the moment. And as you know, with me and Terry, it might be sexual. Also for legal reasons, I also mentioned that Terry is not his real name, most likely, and may or may not be married already. So he's spoken for, ladies, men, and anyone else out there who's interested. Really, it's not even worth it. I mean, look at him, wearing polo shirt and khakis. Ugh. It's just like, he shows up in that little getup every single day, and it's like, how do you live? How do you function? Are you even a human? I don't know. It just gets confusing, and I mean, frankly, I shouldn't judge considering the fact that I'm not a human either. But oh boy, it has been a crazy week. Starting with, particularly, if you weren't here last week, I mentioned that I was going on a zombie walk in downtown Cincinnati, which had some interesting events of itself right there. I don't know how to best describe this right there. I'm never one to particularly say, hey, advertising is a good thing, and, it's a way to spread a message. But it appears that was the same mentality of the people running the zombie walk last Friday, because it was, the attendance was fairly embarrassing, frankly. There was about 50 of us. It was one of those awkward moments where it was like, do we even want to do this at this point? Like, half of these are adolescent children that showed up dragging their parents, and they just got like a couple little cuts on their cheeks, which, I mean, I'm all for dressing up your kid as a horrific dead person, but at the same time, I think that it's considered distasteful by a vast majority of you. And so consequently, it's a touchy subject that I'm not willing to touch. That being said right there, yeah, no one really knew what was going on or anything like that. And, I took the bus down there with a couple of mates, and everyone on the bus was like, what the hell is up with these people? Also, it was for charity, so we had a couple of boxes of Hamburger Helper, and before you say anything, it was not my decision to give Hamburger Helper to a food pantry, because I think that that's abnormally cruel. I think that there are way better things that you can give to people that will not cause constipation, and especially for somebody down on their luck, that is one less thing to worry about, frankly. No, but, getting a lot of dodgy looks on the bus, including a heroin addict who was really, really, thrown by our appearance, and she was not okay with it whatsoever. And recently, I was telling this to a mate of mine, and they said to me, how did I know that she was a heroin addict? And it's one of those things where you can tell, and it's very, very sad. And if anyone out there is listening and is even considering using that substance whatsoever, just don't, because that is horrible. Do not do that. Heroin is a very, very, very bad thing. But other than that, I mean, I think that it would have been a little bit necessary to market this kind of thing a little bit more, because apparently it's usually this huge event, or so I've been told, and to see that come ahead, and it was sad. It was sad. Not as sad as, a dog dying or something like that, but why are we comparing things to that? I was, of course, dressed up in full zombie guard, and if you haven't checked it out already, I highly recommend that you go to the Teej page on the Facebook. That is TWJ, and we are not going over the English was last week. That being said, though, it was a lot of fun just to do that, and so, you know, like, being able to dress up and go around strutting, peacocking as a zombie, that's good enough for me, frankly. That's a good night, as far as I'm concerned. So, I really wasn't disheartened by the attendance, surely, but something to consider in the next time. If you want, you know, a really cool, like, zombie walk or something like that, you gotta tell people. It's a bit of a thing right there. Of course, Terry thought I was an idiot for showing up to such a thing in the first place, because Terry's one of those individuals who doesn't wear makeup, ever. And not to say that wearing cosmetics is a good thing, but, I mean, hey, if you're making yourself look ugly, I think that that's a solid reason to put it on. But that's besides the point, because, I mean, Terry said he might go, but then he wasn't going to, like, do anything. And so it was like, what's the point? You're just one of those sad individuals, like, you know what you're like? Terry, you're like one of those parents of an elementary school student that shows up to the school on, like, Halloween when all the kids are, like, parading around. And, like, you're just a little way too into it, you know what I mean? And it's just like you've had, like, a crazy aunt before where, you know, they take way too many photos, like, an absurd amount of photos to the extent of where you're like, are you even experiencing this in the meantime? Like, what are you going to do with all these photos in the meantime as well? You know, that kind of creeps me out. That's Terry in a nutshell, in case you didn't know. So, yeah, Terry was a big old lug who didn't end up going in the first place, but, you know, screw it, because I had a good time. And a bit of a trade-off that we're trying to do and keep this up in this next segment is do something that Terry wants to do on the show. And I figure that it's fair because he is required to be here, and we're required to work together, and so every once in a while I like to appease him. And so what do we got on the docket, Terry? Debate coverage? No. Sorry, we are not doing debate coverage, okay? I didn't watch the debates. I don't give a shit about the debates. It was a horrible, horrible misunderstanding that these two candidates could actually make any sort of sense in the end. And, you know, that's my last statement on it, Terry. Screw you for even considering that we want to make this political at this point. This isn't a news source. People do not come here for news in any way, shape, or form. Or at least I would hope not, unless it's weird news, because that all is, you know, like, probably true, and I try to make sure that everything's factual in that standpoint. But other than that, this is not a news source, Terry, and I don't think that these kind of things need to be debated. We don't really support the election, so we're just not going to go any further with that. However, I am pretty excited to see what John Oliver is going to say this Sunday on HBO. I don't have HBO, of course, but I do have YouTube, as well as everyone else in the world. So, consequently, hey, he might have some interesting things to say, and more than anything else, I just like to see his reaction to things like that. Oh, boy. Looking forward to that, but honestly, I think that that's going to be the end of our segment right there, Terry. I gave it my best, honestly, man, but you really don't give me anything to work with, so consequently, we're just gonna have to end it right there. How about we throw on some music instead? Yeah! So, you know, like, because it's a touchy subject and that sort of thing, like, it just feels, like, awkward to continue, and so consequently, I mean, like, things are getting to be in treacherous waters, that sort of thing, and so, being the case, I think there's one song that's appropriate. It's by Electric Six, and it's called Danger High Voltage. Catch you later.